with my family and with my kids. This is my youngest, Christopher, and he's going to be cooking with us today. You can say hello.
Hi.
And so we're in the middle of our challenge, our JW Food Design Cook With Your Kids challenge. And so I thought I'd pull one of my kids into the kitchen today, and we cook with Christopher. Now Christopher's going to make a white bread that we make all the time in our house. And it's a basic white bread. I'm going to tell you my tips and tricks, and I figured we'd get started and Christopher can show us what to do. What do you think? Okay. So the first thing I do when I set it up, and I'm going to do it in the mixer, I normally do a bread machine. That's what I like to do. I use it for the dough. Christopher's seen me make it. A lot of people have mixers, so we're going to do a mixer. I'll tell you, one of the little tricks that I do is I'll actually run hot water bowl. I'll put hot water in it and just kind of heat it up. And that, for me, because it gets so cold where we live, it allows the liquids in it, and it allows the yeast to activate a little bit better. And so that's what I did first. I got the oven going because we're going to use the oven to let the bread rise. So why don't we get going? The first thing we're going to do is I did 2 cups, and on our website we're going to have this recipe. So I did 1.5. Let's see, how much should we have there, Christopher? 1.5. Like, yeah. So 1.5 cups of water. I got warm water right out of the tap, and Christopher, for me, is going to put. He's going to put 4. What does it say in our recipe right here? Yep, and I add one more, so we're going to do 4 teaspoons of yeast. This is your teaspoon, and just drop it in there. What this is going to do is allow the yeast to activate while we throw all the other ingredients into the bowl. Yeah, just throw it in there. And it's going to kind of sit on the top, and then it'll start floating down and get a little foamy, and that's how you know your yeast is activating. So 1.5 cups of warm water right out of the tap. I don't go hot. You don't want it too hot because then it actually will kill your yeast, and that's not what you want. What I'll normally do here is I'll kind of just do a little bit like that. You see how it starts to go. We're going to do 2 teaspoons of salt. Throw your salt in. Now be careful because this actually, I'm going to let you do it. You pour it in. This actually pours really fast, so you want to be careful when you pour it. And I pour it over the bowl in case any falls out. You just kind of jiggle it, get it out of there. If it goes over a little bit, it doesn't matter. So this is 2 teaspoons of salt Chris is throwing in there. Good job. Thank you. You're welcome. And then we're going to do 2 teaspoons of sugar. You know how to open that up. I'll let you open that up. Thank you. And then we're going to do 3 cups of flour. So Christopher's going to pull that out. And it's okay to get it everywhere. You know, I always tell everybody when you cook, you have to embrace the mess and you have to embrace the mess up, because you are going to make a mess and you are going to mess up. And, okay, the next thing we're going to do is 4 tablespoons of canola oil. 4 tablespoons of this. 4.
You gotta love your bread. Gotta love your bread.
Okay, so go ahead and pull on our mixer. Christopher's in the kitchen all the time, so come over here this way. So, and then what you're going to do, let's stir it up just a little bit, and we'll show you what it looks like in the mixer once we get the yeast in there.
Might help to plug it in.
Yeah, it probably would help to plug it in. Thank you, Christopher. So we're mixing up all the dry ingredients along with the canola oil. How's it looking?
Good. Mixing it up.
Okay, so let's go ahead and put the yeast mixture in. So we've kind of just put that in the warm water. And what it'll do is, you see how it's getting kind of foamy right there? And it doesn't have to be perfect. I usually don't worry about it, but I would take this, dump it in, and you can even stop this if you want. So dump it in and then scrape the sides off and just kind of scrape it at the bottom. So go ahead and just dump that in with all the yeast. Perfect, good job. So this is what it looks like as it starts to make dough. You can see it's kind of, it's mixing up, it's getting there. Christopher, what do you think? Does it look too sticky, too dry? What do you think? Do we need to add anything?
I think it looks just perfect for right now. Maybe a little too dry.
Do you want to stop it and scrape down the sides?
Sure.
Okay. You can use a yeast thing. Christopher's going to scrape down like whatever's stuck on the sides, some of the yeast, flour. There you go. So push it back up. Perfect. You think it needs a little bit of water? You think it needs a little bit of flour?
A little bit of water.
Okay, so Christopher's going to add a little bit of water to our mix. You don't want it too sticky. Let it mix up a little bit and see what kind of dough it's going to turn into. So this is what the dough looks like. So right now, to me, it's looking just a little bit sticky. So Chris is going to add just a little bit more flour. Okay, so the bread has been mixing, or the bread dough So we've got a really nice dough. I set my oven. We're going to use the oven, and Chris has seen me do this quite a few times. We're going to use the oven to make the rolls rise. Just like I said, because it's windy and cold here today, and I don't want to wait 4 hours for the dough to rise, which we've done before, haven't we? What's the longest you think we've ever waited for dough to rise? Half a day. Yeah, it took a long time. So we're going to use the oven. I preset the oven on 175, and Chris can show you. He can go ahead and take this out now. So we're going to keep it in this bowl. Can you lower it? And what I normally will do is take the hook off. I'll turn it. I'll show you how to do that. Take it out like that. You use your clean hands. So you washed your hands. Here, and so you take it and just kind of pull the dough off the hook. There you go, just like that. Perfect. So just you can put the hook down, and then pop the bowl up, and I've got a rag right here. So here, you come over here, right here. Put the bowl right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to cover it. We want it to double in size. And so your dough right now, there's not a lot to it, but we're going to have it doubled in size, and then we'll be back to show you how to punch it down and how to make rolls. So take this, Christopher, and let's put it in the oven. Now this needs to be supervised, of course. If you're a young kid, let your parents help you. I put a towel in the oven just so my metal bowl wouldn't get heated up too quick. So there's the towel. So we're not going to close it all the way. We're going to leave it cracked just a little bit, and it allows enough heat just to kind of circulate through there so your dough can actually double. So we are back to check our bread that's been rising in the oven. Right, Christopher? It's been probably about an hour and 30 minutes. On the bread machine that we use, it takes about an hour and 40 minutes for the first rise. It looks really good. We've already checked on it. Christopher's about to pull it out and look at it and uncover it, and then we're going to punch it down and make some bread out of it. So you want to go ahead and do that with your oven mitt? I like your oven mitt. Can you get your hands in there? Let's see what it looks like. I think when kids cook, especially, and you tell me if I'm wrong, Christopher, before you look, but when kids can make something that they buy at the store every single day, I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of like making peanut butter, right? Okay, so you get to look and see how your dough looks. Now, when you take it out, if you have a container like this, make sure you tell your kids that when they take it out of the oven, if they bang it down, the dough will deflate. That's not a big deal in the first rise, but it's a big deal when they make the bread and they're sliding into the oven, or if they're checking it and it's they're waiting for it to rise a little bit more. You actually can deflate it, and then you'll have other issues. You'll have flat bread.
It's always bad when you have flat bread.
It is bad when you have flat bread. Okay. So yours fell a little bit, so you can turn it here. Let's look at it. So Christopher's was risen. Okay, it was up there because I did check it. Now it fell a little bit, so we're going to go ahead and pull this out. We're going to put it in the flour. He's washed his hands. He's ready to go. So if you want, what you can do is once you get your hands, some flour on your hands. And when you put it in the oven, it gets kind of a crusty top, just a little bit, but that's okay because we're going to work that into the dough too. So you know the drill. Kind of get it in there. I'll hold the bowl. Is it real hot or just a little hot? Can you get your hands in there? So he's going to get his hands in there, and it's sticky. This is why you put it in an oiled bowl. It's the best thing when you make your dough. When you first make it, throw it in a bowl that you've actually sprayed or oiled. We're first going to start like getting flour on it, start turning it. We've punched it down. And that's exactly, he's seen me do it, so he's kind of working it. So what do you think? You want rolls, or would you like 2 loaves of bread? What do you think? Rolls. You want rolls? Okay. Exactly. So he's taking some of the flour, so he has flour in his hands, and he's taking the flour and he's sprinkling it on top, because anytime it feels a little sticky, just use some more flour. Now, I use a big cookie sheet, and I just keep flour on there because I make bread almost daily. And so what I do is every few days I'll dump the flour out and replace it. But I just have my big cookie sheet, and as soon as I'm done doing what Christopher's doing right now, which is kind of turning it and getting all the air out of it, and sometimes when you have a lot of air in it, you can hear the bubbles popping. Did you just hear one? So how's it going? How's it feel?
It feels really soft and like, almost like it has air inside of it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Not like, literally, that's how it feels.
But he's kneading it for a few minutes. You want to come over here and do it? Would this help you out? There we go. I have pan for you. We're gonna put that there. So do you want me to spray it or would you like to spray it?
Spray it.
Okay. So I'm gonna spray the pan that we're gonna put the rolls in that Chris wants to make. And this is just so they don't stick when we bake them. I think it's good enough. So we can either tear off with our hands or you can use the knife if you want. Okay, so let's do this. What we're gonna do is just split it in half and we're gonna do 12 rolls. So we're just gonna do this mathematically. So basically figure out where the halfway point is and you can do it like this. You kind of guess? Okay, perfect. So you need 12 rolls. So you do half, so 6 and 6, then half that. And now you need 3 out of each. And he's just squeezing it. He's just squeezing it with his hands and kind of taking the dough. Perfect. So you're going to have to get 3 out of there, so if you half it, it's not going to work out. Bless you. Oh, bless you.
Good.
Okay. That worked out. Oh, perfect. Yeah. So Christopher just squeezes in between his finger and he's got 3. Now he can... Okay, so like I said, Christopher can either do rustic rolls where he just takes what he's pinched off and throw them in his spray pan, or, and I'll show you how to do this, Chris, what you can do is, and this is how you get the perfectly smooth top. If you'll kind of start tucking it inside each other, okay, and then what you do is you make it like a little bubble. You see how I'm kind of taking it, and what I do is I make like a little basket like this, and I start pushing, and if you need a little flour, I usually do that if it gets a little sticky. And then I make a little bubble. Now, it's pretty perfect. So it's perfectly smooth, and now you stick it right there. It's separated. You may help you? And so you can do the same thing. You just kind of push up with your fingers in the middle, and then you have like a little pocket. And what I do is I bring that together, and I bring it all together where all the edges of the bottom part are together, and I kind of twist. You can see I'm twisting. And then, there you go. Maybe there is a name for that, like a chef name for that, but I have no idea what it is, what I just did.
Now, this one seems a little big, so should we squeeze it in half, do you think?
No, but you can, you know what you can do is you can take this one that seems a little small and you can take a little pinch off of it and like add it to that. You know that little pocket I made? Where I did that? Shove it in the middle there and then bring it together like I showed you. It's almost like when you make a wonton. You know, like the crab puffs you get that we might eat tonight? So they're separated perfectly. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw them back in the oven. And what I sometimes will do, I mean, you don't have to do this, but if your dough seems a little sticky, I'll take just a little bit of flour, Chris, and just a little, not a lot, but just a little. This way, as they rise up, they don't, and it can be just a dusting, just a little bit. But that way, when you put your cover, your dish towel, over them, when they rise up, they don't stick to the dish towel. Okay. That was too good. Yep, go ahead, let's put them in, and I'll let you cover. You're gonna cover, you want to just cover it like that? Perfect. And so we're gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna let Chris turn on the oven, and we don't close it, because now we want our second rise. So they're going to do what again?
Right?
And how big are they gonna get? Double in size.
So, kind of,
Yeah, and this should only take about 40 minutes, 40 minutes to an hour. And I think we're good to go, so we'll check back in.